Episode 3 of the Long Run Podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by Will Boyle and Seamus Flannery. Will recently ran 2:31 for the marathon in Valencia, and Sheamus has ran 2:55 in Dublin Marathon last year. So, happy to have you on, lads.
What's the crack? Thanks for having me, man.
Oh yeah, thanks for having us. And I will say one thing, if anyone's listening to this on the audio, get us on the camera because we're all dressed up here in the studio. We've Ivan on the camera. So let's make the most of this, stick us on the big screen or something.
I actually want to call out Will straight away, right? Because last night we were out for dinner, yeah, and I'm sitting at the dinner table ready to rock. Mia's there. It's like 6:45 at this stage, so booking's about 6:30, yeah. Will nowhere to be seen. I get a voice message on WhatsApp. Will says, yeah, I'm really early and stuff, so I'm going to see if they'll let me in, but I'm not sure, yeah. Take your time. He's 15 minutes late at this stage.
Yeah. Unbeknownst to me now. Yeah. I'm walking around Holland & Barrett looking at different magnesium supplements. I'm like, 20 minutes. I turn Beck's like, what are you looking for? I'm like, I'm just killing time. And we go over to the restaurant and see if there's anyone there. I sent him a voice note outside. They're already sitting there at the table. I'm 20 minutes late.
You thought the booking was at 7. It was at 6:30.
Cracking.
So I just had to get that out of the way first.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So I was half an hour early today as a result.
Yeah. I made sure
you got to right your wrongs.
Shay texting the group chat at 8 o'clock this morning. We have to be early.
Just wanted to make sure we're on the ball,
Listen, a punctual man.
Yeah,
there's a lot to be said for a punctual man.
Yeah.
Says the man who was 20 minutes late for dinner last night. But you gotta right the wrongs, man.
All right, it's all lighthearted now, but we're gonna get into some topics. Obviously the times are the times. 2:33, 2:55, both very impressive in themselves.
Did you just call me at 2:33?
2:31. Oops.
Don't make that mistake again.
Oh God. And then, but there's a lot behind the times, and I feel like people running them times, you have to be a certain type of person, and like normally there's a story. Very rarely you find someone with a perfect life that's just out running them sort of times, ridiculous times in the marathon. So I don't know which one of you wants to start off. Maybe we'll go with Sheamus.
Yeah. Just a bit about me.
Yeah, tell us about yourself.
Yeah.
How you started running. Anything before running that you think might have contributed to why you've locked in, you've been so disciplined.
Good.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So my name's Seamus Flannery. I'm 24 from Dublin. I live in Cabinteely, South Dublin. If you know it, shout out. Growing up, I would have played like most sports, GA, soccer, rugby. Primary school was primarily GA and soccer. I was never like bad at them, but I was always a bit chubby, slow, so therefore made it difficult to like ever start in a team. Whenever I remember when I was like 11 or 12, I would have always got stuck in nets just because I was a bit heavy and just couldn't keep up the pace. But I was always technically
Spice Bag Flannery.
Yeah. Rolls, how they used to call me, just because my rolls were fat with hair on my t-shirt. But I was always good at football and stuff. I was very interested in it, but literally put on a bit of weight, couldn't keep up the pace in the pitch anymore. Then went into secondary school, started playing rugby. Then all of a sudden, like being chubby and heavy was perfect for rugby because I was just running people over on the pitch. I was 20 kilos on them. So when I was in second year in school, I remember being 70 kilos, which like when you're 14 is big. Like that's very big. So was very good at rugby then. Found a love for that. Gave up the football, gave up the GA, focused on the rugby. Played that the whole way through secondary school. It was pretty good, to be fair to me. Really enjoyed it. I think that's what got me into committing to something and seeing results from it, like delayed gratification. I remember doing summer training. Every summer I had some very good coaches. You'd be up at the crack of dawn, in training, lifting weights, eating good, and just seeing results. I think that definitely taught me a lot about the values I believe in today. And then finished school, played up until under 20s, played rugby. So 19, 20, dislocated both my shoulders. They kept coming out. Was told I need to get surgery if I want to keep playing. I said, fuck that. I'm scared of needles, let alone surgery. So I said, no chance. Gave up the rugby. It was a shame to leave it, but got into running instead. I'd already done a bit of running during COVID, like 2020, 2021, when there was nothing else to do. And then kind of, like that was literally just 5Ks, 10Ks at best. That all stopped then when everything opened back up. Didn't run for about 2 years, then played the rugby. And then 2023, so a big group of us, we lost one of our best mates and we all decided to do a Dublin Marathon in October 2023. We decided that literally after his funeral in March 2023, we all decided we'd do the marathon in October.
Class.
So then started doing a bit of running. I think that year, 2023, I ran like 600k. Really enjoyed it. Ran 4:15 in Dublin Marathon, which out of the big group for us, I think.
What kilometre, just for the people, what kilometre pace would that be?
6 minutes flat, pretty much.
6 minutes.
So 4:15, yeah. And there's about there's about 20 of us that did it. And I think I was the third fastest out of them all. And I was like delighted because like growing up being slow and being chubby, I would never ever have considered myself fast, whatever. Then the rest of the lads kind of left it there. I didn't do any other marathons, but I said, fuck it, like I'm going to keep going. Booked Cork Marathon the following year in June. Trained by myself the whole time, ramped up the mileage. Was probably doing like 60k a week at the time, which felt like a lot. Lots of 10ks, but like no real method, like just going out running, steady pace, hard. No easy runs, no nothing. But think that built a great aerobic base. Did Cork Marathon in June 2024. Ran 3:38, which I was over the moon with.
And what kilometre pace is that then? So you're going from 6 minutes?
I think it was about 4:50 per
6
kilometre.
minutes down to about 4:50, yeah.
Yeah, in the space of about 8 months. And then booked San Sebastian Marathon with one of my mates. We flew over to San Sebastian. Marathon got cancelled the night before. This is November 2024. Me and him, we literally rocked into the country. We're getting on the bus from Bilbao to San Sebastian. I come out of the toilet. He's like, "Did you look at your email?" He's like, "Did you look at your email?" I was like, "No." He goes, "The marathon's cancelled." This is 6 o'clock the night before. We had just done a proper cheapskate travelling of flying to Paris, Beauvais, not even the proper Paris, middle of nowhere in Paris, eating chicken and broccoli out of
you got a bus like
lunch
halfway
boxes
across the world at some point as well, man.
We were travelling all day, get there. We hadn't even got to San Sebastian. We're in Bilbao, 6 o'clock the night before the marathon. Had like another 2-hour bus to do. Marathon gets cancelled because of the high winds. It's like a yellow wind one. But the Spanish yellow wind one is nothing like the wind one in here. Like it genuinely wasn't that windy. So we just said, fuck it, we'll stay in Bilbao because there's no point in us getting the bus. Literally checked into some random hostel, middle of the city. Got the worst night's sleep ever. Woke up being like, all right, well, we have to go to a marathon here anyway. So the two of us just went down to a river, did a few laps around the river, had like a little pit stop with electrolytes and jellies in a bag.
Nice.
We started the marathon about 8 a.m. But between the time we started and finishing, a fun run ended up getting set up exactly where we were. It was like a 10k race or something. So then by the time we finished, where we left our bags was like immersed in crowds of people. And we were like, what the hell? Our jackets got robbed. Anyway, his phone died. I didn't bring my phone with me. So we finished this marathon. It took me like 4 hours and it took him like 4 hours, 5 minutes. But we were both pausing our watches and stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I couldn't tell you what time I actually would have taken. It's probably 4 hours, 20 minutes. But I blew up big time. That's the most pain I've ever been in. Blew up big time halfway through. I don't know why. Lack of preparation or what. But the two of us finished in bits, like really struggling to walk. He had no phone, I had no phone. We had to walk like 20 minutes back to the hostel and it was the worst thing ever. But anyway, got over that.
Wait, so where are you? Where are we now? We're at the end of 2024.
Yeah, that's November 2024.
I'll stop you there for 1 sec.
Of course.
Because we're flying to you. I feel like there's a lot that you're probably missing out on here. Because you're I know you're end 2024.
I'm going to link it back up here.
Yeah, you're coming into like Dublin season and that's where you had like a big breakthrough. So
yeah.
We'll just bring it back a little bit. First of all, I feel like I should say some of the topics that we're going to discuss in the podcast may be distressing to some people. If we talk about addiction, drink, alcohol. So just anyone who's listening is feeling any way distressed, please reach out to your local counsellor, advisory programs. Someone cares, someone loves you, and yeah, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So obviously drink. I'm 25, Will's 24, Sheamus 24, and none of us drink now anymore. I barely ever did, to be honest, and some of the lads have different stories with alcohol. Yeah, I want you to touch on yours a bit, Sheamus. You can paint in whatever picture you want to paint in, but I just think it's good to show that I don't know, you seem like a really happy guy and you don't drink, so I just think it's good to show that anyone watching that's a bit younger than us now, maybe coming through college, because I feel like that's where it gets bad for a lot of people, kind of coming through that college 5th, 6th year of school, where just house parties, going out in college, where without even realising it turns into like, oh, I'm out on Wednesday with college, down I'm out Friday, down I'm out Saturday, and then it's just like rolling into 1 week after another. So just touch on like how your relationship was with alcohol at the time. Obviously at the time you might have thought, oh, it's harmless, like I'm just going out with the lads drinking. Do you still have that same reflection? And then when you decided, right, I'm putting the bin on this, like I don't need it and I think I'll be better off with a.
Yeah.
Was that around the same time? Are we at a similar time frame there at the end of 2024?
Yeah. So I would have been in like final year of college then. I mean, I never had a problem with drinking or anything. Like I have many great memories from drinking. I think it's great. Like it can be great when used correctly.
Yeah.
But obviously, for me personally, I just reached a certain stage where it wasn't doing anything for me. I wasn't even looking forward to going out drinking. Like I never had a problem. I always found it easier not drinking than drinking, to be honest. And then it'd be more so the pressure of like, well, everyone's gone out this weekend, like I might as well.
Yeah.
Like I remember final year of college nearly thinking, well, I know I'm going to look back at my final year of college one day and be like, oh, I should have gone out more. That's what I thought at the time. So I was kind of just like going out for the sake of it in final year.
Yeah.
But I always kind of knew once I finished college and kind of spent more time by myself, I would definitely pretty much stop drinking. Like I'm not going to never drink again. I definitely will drink again, but like very, very rarely. And to be honest, anytime I have drank in the last year, I've spent like the week dreading it nearly.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, if like that obviously isn't a good thing. Why would I drink if I'm not looking forward to drinking? I'm not even enjoying it that much when I am drinking, and then I'm feeling terrible the next day.
Yeah.
So I'll say November 2024, after that Bilbao Marathon, that's when Will reached out to me. So basically, for anyone who doesn't know, me and Will were in school together.
Unfortunately.
Will joined, I was in CBC in Monkstown, Dunleary. Will joined in fourth year. Fifth year,
yeah.
So we were with each other for fifth and sixth year. We were never like the best of mates. We never.
No, we would have shared like similar friend groups. I would have known you.
Yeah.
I would have known you decently well. You would have known me. We would have crossed paths. But
Yeah.
I don't think we were like close in school.
We would have never seen each other outside of school, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But no, we got on very well. Don't get me wrong.
we did.
We were the year that we didn't have any leavings there. COVID came in just in time. Cancelled the leavings,
Lifesaver. Complete lifesaver.
which was lovely. Yeah.
Predict the grades.
And then I do think, like, I'd already had a mindset that, like, drinking, it had ran its course. I'd gotten everything, like, it's a great way of meeting people. It's a great social lubricant, but I'd already got all the benefits out of it. I had met people, I had loads of people in my life, loads of friends. I didn't need it anymore, basically. And then Will reached out to me because he'd seen me on Strava, being like, you're obviously training for a marathon or whatever. He thought I was training for Dublin Marathon 2024.
Yeah, I kind of saw this is a point for me where I didn't really know anyone who was running.
Yeah.
But I had kind of like loose connections on Strava. You know, like those kind of empty connections you have on LinkedIn. It was the same thing for me on Strava. I was like literally following anyone I knew. But I kind of been keeping half tabs on Sheamus. I saw his long runs were kind of scaling towards a similar period to Dublin Marathon. That's probably when you were training for San Sebastian, wasn't it?
Yeah, it would have been, yeah.
So I just reached out to him. I was like, training for Dublin, what's the crack? I'm moving back. I was moving back to Dublin at the time.
Yeah.
Just looking to find someone to run with, get to know. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, we met for a coffee or something the first time, I think.
We met in Flyfit in the gym, I remember well. And then I think our first run together was Christmas Eve. We had a nice long run.
Christmas Eve.
It was a
Yeah.
half marathon Christmas Eve.
2024.
Yeah. Two lads hadn't a clue what they were doing.
Yeah.
It was gas. We had a nice time.
We were looking back at it there last week. It was like 5:40 pace or something.
Yeah.
We were just cruising down the coast, like, you know,
Yeah.
which is gas because now myself and Sheamus would run like a half marathon twice a week together, midweek,
Yeah.
and we'd be kind of
4:30s.
cruising at like 4:30s, having a chat.
Yeah.
Like, so
Which definitely shouldn't be my easy pace, but I'm willing to.
he gets pushed.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Will definitely, without him even realising, had a big influence on me. Like, fully, that Will was supposed to be my first ever friend that didn't revolve around drinking. And, like, we never even considered going out drinking. It was doing other stuff, like bettering ourselves, going out running, going for a coffee and going for a chat. And I think a lot of my mates, like, we never really did much that wasn't drinking, which is great. Like,
That's
at
just,
the time, it's what I wanted.
That is very
No, yeah.
normal. Like, there's nothing unnormal about that.
And at the time, I wouldn't have wanted to do anything else other than go out drinking. But then Will definitely had a good impact on me because it made me realise you can have just as much fun, if not more fun, getting up early, going to the Phoenix Park, running 25k, going for a coffee. You get all the same benefits, the endorphins, the dopamine, and you get no side effects.
No headache.
No headache. You go home buzzing.
Definitely had a few side effects over the years.
You go home buzzing, eating pizza, chilling out for the day. And then it's the same for me anyway. If I'm meeting someone new for the first time, whenever, yes, you can go for a pint and it's a great way to get to know them, or you can go on like a 10k easy run and has the exact same effect for me, if not better.
Yeah.
You make a bit more of a longer lasting connection. I was also finding before I stopped drinking, that feeling of being in the pub and you're like can't even get fully involved in the conversation because you're kind of thinking my pint's nearly gone here, like when are we getting the next pint?
Okay, yeah.
And then that feeling of thinking I wasn't drunk enough and I'd start drinking quicker. Then all of a sudden you'd wake up the next day and you'd be like, geez, my memory went there. Like I went from feeling pretty much sober to blacking out, and you're like, that's not a healthy relationship with drink, unfortunately. And now, since I have started drinking less and I have drank occasionally the past year, I definitely feel like you're going through the motions again of getting drunk and actually enjoying yourself. So I definitely have a much better relationship with drinking now. But like I'd say this year, I'll probably only drink 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, so I only probably had my first drink, I'd say, when I was 22, maybe. So for years, that was only 2 years ago. And it would have been like a shot. That would have been like very first thing.
Yeah,
just went straight in for a shot.
Yeah, just like, you know, like
guy, man.
Well, that's what happens. I suppose that's what happens. Everyone presumes everyone drinks, so it would have been a group thing where someone's bought around, and I was too like.
I feel like that's the equivalent of going straight for a marathon instead of a park. So she goes into the deep end.
I was too shy to like say no. Yeah. Because a lot of the reason why I didn't drink, I didn't actually like the taste. So that would be my first one. And then from then, I still never drank a pint, and I've probably only I'd say like 98% of my drinks to this day have been like vodka. Just because it just tastes like whatever you put in. I've been drunk like 2 or 3 times. Like my friends would probably say I've never been drunk because they've never seen me do anything stupid. Well, you know, that sort of way. Yeah. But my definition of drunk, where like I might take one bad step and I'd be like, that would be me. Like, right, I'm not drinking. I'm done. You know, that sort of way. Like, like if I bump off one table, like I could have done it sober.
In your head over and
I'm
over
done.
Again,
And there's no like, I don't have like some cool reason of why I never did it. Like all my friends drank, I just never. Did. Maybe I'll figure it out down the line why I like knowing there's no like reason. I wasn't scarred from anything, or there's no like history. Just never did. But now, thank God, it's led to like such a healthy relationship that like I can go out and not do it, and I wouldn't even like think twice. I can go out and have one grand.
And that's the thing, like, you shouldn't have to have a reason to not drink. Like,
exactly. I feel like it is getting. I have seen improvements. Obviously, I've experienced it now from say 16 to 25. Of like, you know, them times in the pub where people are like, are you drinking? And I've noticed how the like reaction gets over the years. So back then it'd be like, oh come on, like it's whatever day. It could be Patrick's Day, like it's Paddy's Day, it only happens once a year. I'm like, well, you could use that like 6 or 7 times in a year, and then over the years people are more just like, oh, like fair play to say about like, oh no, I'll have a race next week.
Tables have definitely turned on the sort of general outlook on it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's cool anymore to be in your 20s. And maybe not that it's not cool, but I think back in not even that long ago, being in your 20s and being a wreck, being a party animal was like a cool thing. Yeah. You know, whereas now I think people are a lot more health conscious, they're a lot more fitness conscious. That's just the way things have turned. And I think that's been now more accepting for people who don't drink.
Yeah.
Whereas before, like I can tell you my experience, people be quizzing you like, what do you mean you're not drinking?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you know, I just don't do that.
Yeah.
They need some kind of valid reason as to why you don't do it.
Yeah.
It's so embedded in Irish culture that that's what we do. We go out, we get pissed, and we make show of ourselves. All across the world. Like I've been to festivals outside of Ireland where everyone else is well behaved, but the Irish are making a holy show of themselves.
Yeah.
And people would be like so perplexed. What do you mean you're not drinking, man? I get less of that now, and I often sit in the pub. Like I sat in the pub all day after Dublin Marathon with lads that are drinking, and not one person asked me a question, why are you not drinking?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a massively positive thing. Whether you drink or not, that's your own decision. Some people, like myself, it's almost a forced decision. I can't drink.
Yeah.
Full stop. End of story. But I'm happy about that. I'm okay with that. It plays a valuable role in my life. I get so much back from it. But the idea now that people start to respect that, they don't really ask the question. I think that's a really, really good shift in momentum, just in society itself. Do you know?
Yeah. No, we're definitely not on here just to like bash drinking in general. There's obviously people that can balance it, and
100%.
It is good, especially through college. Like, no denying it is good crack at times.
And listen, like there's the fact that comes with that as well. Of if I could balance it, like if that was the way my life went, would I have the odd pint in the pub? Probably.
Yeah.
Do you know, like that's the way a lot of people have a healthy relationship with something. If you can manage it, it's in moderation, and it's not taking away from your life more than it's giving your life.
Yeah.
I don't see any problem with it. 100%. Unfortunately, that's not the case in my life. Do you know?
Yeah, and we'll definitely get into that when we come on to you and probably in a bit deeper detail. But Shay, heading into 2025, then you've kind of decided you don't need a drink. You want to focus on this running gig, see where you can get to. This would have been when you decided to go deep into that Dublin Marathon block, what was your expectations kind of going into it? Like you're coming off 3:30, like 2:55. People would tell you it's a pretty big jump. What were you thinking?
So start of 2025 or in March 2025. So this time last year I did Barcelona Marathon, ran it in 3:27. Will was over there as well. He did it
after not being able to run for like 8 weeks.
Yeah, after not being able to run, not for 8, for 4 weeks beforehand. So I kind of ruined my whole block. But went over, really enjoyed it. I still got like a big PB. I was delighted. And then I said I always wanted to do Dublin again. Like, so that was the plan. Spent the summer. I did a knockoff 70.3 triathlon. I did a backyard ultra marathon. Did 100k.
Yeah, you've had a few ventures, you.
Yeah. Man, he's the king of the side quest, honestly. He didn't even really tell anyone about that triathlon for a while. He's just kind of training for it. Like.
So I did a few side quests, built up that aerobic base, then came back. Will obviously was already going into the Phoenix Park every Sunday with your help for runners. And he's like, obviously, come on in. I said, I honestly had no expectations at all. I remember even saying to Will, like, my plan was always to get as close to 3 as possible, but I never even entertained.
And you're just talking about at some stage.
Pause on that one now, right? Modest enough guy. We were pushing him the whole time. Training. Like myself and Ryan, we train on Tuesday night, we train on a Sunday. We told him he was going under 3 hours.
Yeah.
But like, obviously, 3's a kind of scary barrier.
Yeah, no, it is.
Some of it was Shay's just a modest blow, but the other part of it is like, I don't know if I can go under 2. But you're looking at him, you're like, this guy's breaking 3 hours. Like,
well, my idea would have always been, this is even in August last year, it would have always been get as close to 3 as you can in Dublin, and then look at going sub 3 in spring.
Yeah.
And then I remember my first run in the Phoenix Park. I did like 26k at 4:05 pace. First time ever doing a long run with someone, and like it felt unbelievable. I was like, well, that definitely gave me a huge boost of confidence to go sub 3.
Yeah.
So then I had like an 8-week block. Training went really well. Didn't pick up any injuries, whatever. And then smashed out 2:55. Yeah.
And what kilometer pace is that for the people that wouldn't be familiar?
4:10.
4:10.
Kilometer, yeah.
For 42.
Quick guy.
Got myself a pair of carbon plated shoes, and then
that iconic video of you coming down the
greatest video of all time.
But that just shows like that's like an honest marathon video. Like that's the struggle. Like for you that don't know, Shay, a little sickness coming down
Foster's Avenue.
Do you know what the most impressive thing is? I've got sick after nearly every marathon I've done, or sometimes in it as well. But the fact he didn't have to stop.
He didn't break his stride.
I've never stopped in a marathon, but like every time I've had to get sick in training, I've had to like stop, get it out, and keep going.
Yeah.
For a bit of context to the clip, I'd already gotten sick like 3 times before, and that was my like last and final time getting sick. So I knew what to expect. Like feeling my stomach.
He was versed at that stage.
And who actually got the video? Was it random?
It's the lad I was running with, Ben. Shout out Ben. We ran the whole thing together. Who I'd only met like 3 weeks before in the Phoenix Park.
Yeah.
And his mum got the video.
Oh.
So she was trying to zoom in on him, and I'm just like, I was right beside him. So he texted me after, because I remember finished Dublin, I was buzzing, whatever. Was happy enough with the content I'd gotten. And then after we left the pub, I was walking back to the bus stop, and he texted me saying, I got this great video. Yeah, I was like, oh, I'll tell you, send it on. He sends that on to me. I'm like, that's gonna go viral for sure. So got 1 million views on Instagram and TikTok, so like 2 million views over.
Rightfully so. That's a man at work. Like
it's still, even now, like I'm putting up videos and stuff, and that video's still getting more likes than like my daily vlogs every day. Good. Still getting a few likes every day.
Yeah. Right. So time to jump into you. We're up to Shane's most recent PB.
That's enough about Shay. I'll take up the rest of it.
Go for it.
A little bit different. Like I was never, when I was in school, I was into sport. And when I'd kind of pivot between sports, but I had bad asthma, and it just kept being like the thing that stopped me from pursuing sport. But I always kind of felt, I went to a school before I moved to Shay's school. I went to a school where being good at sports kind of defined your status, and particularly rugby. If you didn't play rugby, and more so if you weren't good at rugby, you weren't really anybody. You know, you didn't have social status in school, and I struggled with that because I wasn't into rugby. I used to hide in the change rooms and stuff like that because I didn't want to be good at rugby either. Do you know what I mean? I think, I won't name the school, but embedded in the ethos of the school, it was like, we play rugby and we are good at rugby and you must be good at rugby. And I didn't feel that, you know. And that's difficult. I found that really hard as a kid. My parents, my dad in particular, never really pressured me to be good at rugby or to play rugby, but they wanted me involved in some sport.
Yeah.
naturally, and I think all kids should be involved in some sport. But I used to hide in the change rooms. I was mad into like computers and video games and this kind of stuff. That was my space. It wasn't sports, you know. And I was kind of a lazy kid, you know.
Yeah.
But years went on. I started to get into a bit of sports, but it was more kind of endurance-based stuff. I was into rowing. I was into cycling. And I was heavy into them. I liked it.
Really,
you know. And I used to run the 800, or it might have been the 1500, I can't remember, at Sports Day every year. The Sports Day every year. And I was quick. I knew I was quick. Because when I did have to go to rugby training, I'd be thrown on the wing. Because I had no ball skill. I could bomb it down the wings. Actually, when I moved to CBC in fifth year, I tried my hand at the rugby again because I wasn't involved in anything. And, this was gas. They stuck me on the wing. That was grand. Went into a match. No one knew how bad I was at rugby or anything. First touch of the ball, just gunned it down the wing and scored a try. And I think I was on the seconds, but I think to some degree they're like, oh, this lad might be decent. Never caught the ball again. Just like no skill whatsoever, but just managed to fluke it down the wing.
Was Shay involved in them?
No, Shay, you were probably playing first, so yeah, he was playing first.
He was up the big boys.
I was just an imposter. But no, I was getting into like rowing and cycling and all this kind of stuff. But back to the 800 and the 1500, I used to, you know, I'd come through strong on the track, I'd be bombing around, and I'd start seeing black.
Yeah.
And I'd be like literally pushing, and I'd pass out. I'd have an asthma attack that bad, and they banned me. I wasn't allowed to run at Sports Day anymore. But I'd always put myself forward. It happened like 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
And I'd just end up in this spot where I was passed out on the grass, and they're like, right, you just can't do that anymore. Got decent at rowing, went to nationals at rowing, but I was having asthma attacks before school and missing school in training. You know, we used to train before school, after school sometimes, and I'd have an asthma attack and miss a day of school because I'd have to get home. So that wasn't sustainable. So it was kind of like a barrier that stopped me pushing to where I felt I could go in sport. And eventually when I was about 15, 16, just kind of threw the towel in. Some of it was a little bit of frustration about that asthma, but mainly it was like I was trying to find these spaces where I fit in. You know, I didn't really feel like I fit in school. I was having a couple of problems at home. It's a conversation for another day, but life was looking a little bit difficult. I was finding things hard, you know, and sport was a good space for me to kind of blow that steam off. And when I focused on it, I really channeled it there. But for some reason, I stopped channeling it there, and I needed somewhere else to channel it. And I started to fall in with people doing other things. Started smoking, started drinking, and I remember like one of the things I struggled with hugely, and it's still something I work with to this day as an adult. Like, I think I can come across as confident, but I'm massively insecure, and I always have been since I was a kid. Now I'm working on it. I talk to people about it, particularly friends like Shay's helped me with it. Luke Mooney, shout out Luke Mooney, has helped me massively with it, like how to find a little bit of confidence in yourself. But even I remember when I was a kid, I hated my name, I hated my voice, I hated everything. Just really hated myself. And I remember this time, the first time I went out drinking, like you were with the vodka there. I went out and I drank a nagging of vodka with a Lucozade Sport, and I'll never forget it. I was on the way to some teenage disco on the bus, but
so you're like 16 at this stage, are you?
I think I was about 14 when I had my first drink. 14, 15.
Right.
I came back to it. I didn't straight away start just going, oh, this is my thing now. But I had that first drink, and it wasn't like it was the key to my whole life. I didn't instantly become an alcoholic drug addict, but I had confidence, and I think that was the dangerous thing for me. I remember that night I was talking to girls, I was talking to people that I never spoke to before, and it just gave me like this kid that locked himself in the room to play Xbox all night is talking to girls and having the crack at a disco, and that was interesting to me because I'd always felt so insecure, but that night I didn't, and that was kind of my relationship over the next couple of years. I chased that feeling of I don't want to be afraid, I don't want to be insecure, I don't want to feel shit about myself, I want to make friends. Unfortunately made a lot of friends in the wrong places. And shared a thing on Instagram the other day. As that kind of went on, I became the party guy. You know, I was like the guy, the centre of the party, but always making a fool out of myself, like constantly. Like when I moved to Shay's school, it was probably the first weekend of school, wasn't it? Literally, I think it might have been actually the first weekend, the first big night.
And we had heard stories that you were this big party guy.
Yeah, no, like I was that guy. I was known. I wasn't necessarily known as the best fun, but I was definitely known as a lunatic. Like, you're going to have a night with this lad. And it was like the first big party in this new school, like an opportunity to start a clean slate. I probably had a bad reputation in my old school as just a ride-off, like. Yeah. And went to this party. I couldn't believe I'd been invited, to be honest with you. Yeah. 'Cause I didn't really get invited to things. I had my own space outside of school, but in school I was like, don't go near that lad. Yeah. went to this party, and sure, I got carted off in an ambulance. Like,
Oh,
you know
really?
what I mean? I made a total show of myself,
Yeah.
like a complete show of myself, and didn't get invited to a party again. And all of that stuff kind of contributes to that idea you have in yourself of like, people don't like me and I don't belong here, even though you're the one sort of making yourself not belong with these behaviors and the way I acted. Like, but that was the story. I became the party guy. I became the sort of the center of attention for all the wrong reasons. I was into DJing. I got into DJing, and to be honest with you, looking back, I'm not even going to get into that story of DJing, but like, DJing for me was definitely a space where I could be the party guy. I could do as many drugs as I wanted, and it was acceptable to do so because I was a DJ and that was my job. Do you know? It was a space to hide my growing habit for substances.
Yeah.
And I, you know, at the start from the outside, it looks like a lot of fun. I shared something on Instagram the other day. You can see me just looking like a wreck, looking like a party guy. Very quickly, it didn't look like that anymore. And I wasn't the center of attention at a party because I wasn't going out. I was just sitting at home, and COVID was a massive sort of catalyst for this. I was just sitting at home on my own, doing drugs all day, all night, for a couple of years. And ultimately that ended in a lot of pain. I seriously hurt my family. Like, it's not easy to watch someone you love lock themselves in a bedroom and do drugs all day.
Yeah.
You know? And for a long time, people didn't even know. They just kind of saw me declining.
Yeah, yeah.
But really difficult, you know, ended in some serious periods of like dangerous things like psychosis that aren't simple to navigate, and landed me in difficult situations and my family in difficult situations, and began a loop of what ended up being 6 different rehabs. Desperately trying to get sober, and, you know, not knowing what went wrong, looking back at threw my education away, thankfully, because of, like, I was always an intelligent guy, but I could not apply myself in skill because I was caught up in all this other stuff that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. Threw my education away, thankfully, through COVID, got a leaving cert, got the opportunity to get predicted grades, which was a blessing because I wasn't sitting that. I wasn't going into the exam. You know, while everyone else was in college for a couple of years getting their degree, I was in and out of rehab, just not knowing what to do. I guess when I came out of rehab for the last time, I'm not really going to go into the turmoil of like all the different times and what went on and relapse, because that stuff.
Yeah.
I think for me, like, I broke myself to a certain point when the first time I went into rehab at 19, 20. 19, I think, nearly 20. I was broken to a certain point, but what really broke me was relapse. Like, I ended up in just like, this guy's dead to the world. Do you know, I was as good as dead. And I kind of reached a point where, you know, suicide was a better option than the way I was going in my head, and that became a reality too. But eventually, when I came out of rehab, I had no friends, and that's the God's honest truth. I had a couple of people, childhood best friend of mine, still on my phone. If I rang him right now, he'd answer. We will always just be best mates, but by and large, I had no friend group, I had no hobbies, I had no passion, I had no drive, I had no education, I had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty confusing, lonely, difficult time to be as
Why
a man.
are you here talking about this?
When I came out the last time from rehab, that's just about 3 years ago now.
21 around
yeah,
then.
so about 21, about 21. I think it's a really confusing time as a 21-year-old guy to have nothing. Do you know what I mean? I'm not talking about materialism here. I just mean, like, to have no one in your phone book, to have no passion, no sport, no hobby. Where do you go from there? Do you know? And I didn't know, man. I didn't know. I moved out of Dublin. I was living in Waterford. I needed just a space away from everything I'd ever known to sort of figure this whole thing out. And I think this time I really wanted to get sober because there was this kind of sombering moment in the last rehab that I was in, that I realised if I didn't figure it out now, it was done. I was either going to die, or I was going to have nothing left. My family wanted nothing to do with me, rightfully so, man. Do you know, I was a complete and utter wreck, like, and you know, if you touch the pan once, it burns you. You don't touch it again. And people were starting to realise I was the pan. If you were close to me, you were getting hurt, man.
Yeah.
And I might not have mean to sort of bring harm or cause trouble or anything like this. I was quite sick, but that's naturally what was happening. And I remember when I got sober, the first kind of, I was actually talking to someone about this yesterday while I was running. The first thing I turned to, not by decision for comfort, was food. I didn't even kind of realise it was happening, but I was eating quite a lot and I was putting on quite a bit of weight, and I'd never really been, you know, overweight as such, or overweight by my own standard. But I look in the mirror one day and I'm kind of chubby. I'm pretty chubby, and I'm like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
and I've been getting into the gym and stuff, and I was putting on muscle, and that was giving me a little bit of drive, a little bit of application, just anything to apply myself to and have a bit of spare time to use somewhere, because I had nothing going on. And I broke a rib in the gym. I was like, right, well, what am I going to do now? I need this outlet. It's letting me blow off steam. I think at this point it's probably keeping me sober. I'm definitely running away from myself. But I think at that time, you know, I think there's a lot of judgment sometimes. People are like, oh, you're trading one addiction for another. Yeah. At those early days, I absolutely was. I would have done anything to stay sober. Whether that meant a little bit of running away from myself, so be it. You do have to inevitably come back and address the skeletons in the wardrobe, or they're going to crop back in. You know, you can't leave those stones unturned. But yes, if it was a safe space, I was going there. I would have done anything but picked up a drink or a drug again. And I broke my rib that day. I was like, what am I going to do, man? Do you know how I can't go back down the gym? I was really liking like really heavy weights. Just like letting me blow off a bit of steam. And I decided to go out for a jog. And I went out for a jog. I often tell this story. And I couldn't run 1 continuous kilometre without gasping for air. I was like, oh, man. I remember walking back to the gaff that night that I was staying in Waterford. And I was like, that's so embarrassing.
Wait, on that story, though, I've heard you say that a few times, obviously. And I always wondered, like, to me, it didn't seem like the most embarrassing thing ever. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that don't have a fitness background.
Definitely.
But now hearing that you came from rowing, you've had these, like, you were doing track stuff in school. So you did have experience that, like, you knew, like, you were able to do these things.
Yeah, like I would have, in school at one point when I was training for rowing, like, not a groundbreaking runner or anything, but I would have been able to break 20 minutes in the 5K. Like.
Yeah, exactly. So that adds a bit of context.
Yeah, just about break 20 minutes. So there was that standard existed there years previous.
Yeah.
And by no means is it embarrassing for someone not to be able to run a kilometre. But at that time, the notions I sort of had about myself, I felt that was like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
I remember walking back to the gaff that night, and like, as I often do with some of the insecurity that I deal with, like, I just ridicule myself. I'm like, you're fat. Yeah, you got sober, but you have nothing. You can't run. Look at you, man. You're a waster. You're never going to make anything of yourself. You're never going to be anything. All these kind of unhelpful thoughts. But I also have this kind of fight in me. Do you know, I'm determined. If I know if I put my mind to something, I'm going to do it, man. And I just kept going back out the door, run a little bit further, a little bit faster, a little bit more comfier, and started losing a bit of weight. And for me, in those early days when I was getting sober, that space I had where I could just go out the door, put my earphones in and disappear for an hour was the single most valuable thing I had. There was other things I had to do to get sober, some of the therapy I was doing, some of the work that we do when we get sober. But that space I had to just detach, man. I'm like a bouncy ball. I can't meditate. I can't sit down very still. I'm just jumping around. Running was a space where I could just go, it's all right, man. Your life looks like a wreck, but it's all right. We're going to figure this out. Put one foot in front of the other, take a breath, and figure it out. And I just kept going. I loved it. I loved the feeling it gave me. In those early days, I wasn't running quick. Do you know what I mean? I was just tipping around, and I was kind of okay with that. But at the same time, my dad was a runner, and it was kind of helping us have this little thing to talk about and sort of rekindle our relationship. Because everything was up in smoke, man.
Yeah.
You know, like everything was really treacherous. Like at that point, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to repair some of the relationships in my life if they'd gone that far.
Yeah.
Because I relapsed 5 times. You know, it's like the boy who cried wolf. They're like, oh yeah, Will's getting sober again.
That's one thing though. It's not just a straightforward line. Like same with running. Like there is going to be them dips and
there's those pitfalls, man.
Stuff has to get worse before it gets better nearly.
And you have to deal with those curveballs. And I think inevitably some of that builds a bit of grit as well. Yeah. Like, yes, I fucked it up massively. But one of the things I am proud of, and there's little there that I am proud of, is I never gave up, man. I kept at it. Yeah. And it, like, yeah, I know it sounds easy. You're like, oh yeah, sure, just gone back into rehab to fix your life. You got to fight with every limb in your body to get into the fucking place in the first place. You really have to want to go there. And I didn't want to go there. So it's like you're fighting your brain. One part of your brain is like, no, just keep going with this addiction, you know, it's saving you. This thing is going to be your saving grace. And the other half's like, man, you got to sort this out. And you're literally going like that. Which way am I going? I don't know. But you know, I started to get a little bit quicker. Joined an athletic club down in Waterford, Ferrybank. It was kind of the first time, I guess, like I had broken 40 in the 10K at this stage. I'd broken 20 in the 5K again. So I was running at a decent enough standard. And joined an athletic club, and those lads just started tipping me on a bit. I wasn't running to any structure, much like you in the early days, man.
Before you get on to the athletics club, I want to chime in about just you in school and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's all well and good Will telling his story here, and some people probably listening and been like, oh, I'm sure it wasn't as bad as he's making it out to be.
Bad, yeah.
But I feel like I'm in a unique position because a lot of people in Will's life now really weren't around back then. And as someone who saw him in school, like I specifically remember one day in business class, Will was out playing Index the night before, which is obviously a DJ venue in Dublin.
Pretty big one at that as well.
Pretty big one.
Yeah.
It was very big at the time. You're only 17, like God knows what you're doing that night in terms of drugs and what time you got home at. But I remember you coming into business class the next day, like in bits, head down the table, like teacher trying to tell you to listen. Obviously you're having none
I
of
actually
it.
remember she moved me down the back of the class.
Yeah.
Because they're like, he's a lost cause.
You earning money at this stage, like, was that adding to things? Like, do you have like, you know, the
So
actual,
I was
like,
probably earning like just enough money to fund my habit. I was sticking anything up my nose.
yeah, but at that stage, are you like teachers giving out and stuff? Are you saying, look, like I'm gonna make it as a DJ? Like, this is what
I
I'm
think I
already
had
earning
some
money.
kind of delusion that I was going to make it. And, you know, at that stage, yeah, I was probably playing decent enough size clubs as a 17-year-old. Like, we had just got booked to play in Berlin.
Yeah,
So it was looking like, okay, potentially
yeah,
you can do something here. But also, it was a contributing thing of, I don't need to listen in school. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm doing this thing. It's paying the bills. It's making sure there's no debt on my back. But I was a wreck, man.
And at the time we
Continue
all
with
thought
that
it was
shit.
gas, like, but like looking back at it now, like a 17-year-old going out the night before school, doing a lot of drugs, coming into school the next day in bits, obviously isn't a normal thing. But we all just thought he was cool and funny, like genuinely that's what we thought. And then I remember we broke up for COVID, didn't see well for like a year or two. Had heard these stories that he was in rehab. Like, I'm not gonna let people were like, oh, he's fucked, yeah, he's in rehab.
Yeah.
Didn't hear from him for a year or two. He was ghosting. He wasn't posting on Instagram or anything for that stage. Then I remember seeing you in the gym one day. You put on a load of weight,
Yes.
wearing glasses,
Weight, man.
lifting mad weights, to be fair to you. You were
Yeah,
benching all this.
Yeah.
Then I think I literally just said hi to you. I didn't even stop and have a chat with you.
Yeah.
Didn't hear from me again for like a year. Then I remember you started posting on Instagram again, putting up, I think you did some Wicklow half marathon or something.
Yeah.
You ran like 125 or something
Yeah.
like that. And I remember being like, Jesus, that's mad. Because that was just when I started getting into running.
yeah,
And then about 3 months later, like we rekindled our friendship, I suppose. And like I just forgot about all that, and what I thought about Will literally the year before. I just forgot about all that stuff. So like, I'm not gonna lie, I would have thought like Will was a lost cause myself.
Yeah.
Like he was
I
gone.
think that was the general consensus about me.
Yeah. Like I remember seeing you,
Self-made.
the
yeah.
first time I'd seen you after hearing you in rehab, I was nearly scared to talk to you. Like
Yeah.
that's the sort of attitude I would have had. But then once we found each other again through running, I just forgot about all that stuff immediately, which is why I think running is so good for that. Like once you're out running with someone, nothing else really matters.
There's no boundaries. There's no
Yeah.
friction between people.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what age they are, where they're from, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just,
No, class. Thanks for sharing that, lad.
but yeah, I
Obviously.
just wanted to get that point out there before you go on to.
Yeah, I think like I
the
get so
club.
used to sort of my angle of the story that like you do forget. I think.
It's mad how much people relate as well. Like even Shay, they're talking about that. The reason he did his first marathon with his group of mates at the time was because they lost a mate.
Mhm.
And I lost my best mate probably around the same time. Seems like around the same age. And anyway, that Shay lost his through a car accident. And that's when I like started, like I wasn't doing sports at that stage. I'd stopped playing GAD, stopped playing football.
Mhm.
You know, like going to 5th and 6th year where you kind of just pack all the sports in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was like around the exact same time, which obviously isn't a good balance. Then you're kind of just like, you're trying to study obviously, but you're going through all this
Yeah.
emotions as
Yeah.
like a young adult, and like my emotions are already messed up before that.
Yeah.
And anyway, I started doing these like challenges. Like at the time, obviously, it was my first introduction to run, and only looking back now, I realized that. But I'd be like, you know, there's one like in November, it's like 3K a day for every day in November,
Yeah.
and to me that was like a mountain to climb. Like 3K
Yeah,
a day,
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
whoa! Every day I'd be posting it. Like it was for
Yeah.
some charity, like.
You
Yeah.
find a bit of pride for yourself
Yeah.
as well, you know.
And then obviously it's progressed since then, but it's just cool because most people don't talk about like stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
but a lot more people have similar stories and like.
I think young men as well, particularly young men, like as a general sort of thing, aren't very good at regulating emotions across the board.
Yeah.
Whether you know you've had a good life or a bad life, I just think young lads aren't great at regulating emotions. And what doesn't help that is that atmosphere of using drinking drugs to help regulate emotions. That's how I knew I had a problem with drinking drugs. It wasn't sort of the amount I was using, that was pretty bad. But for example, like, we know loads of people in school who probably were using more than I was, but they could stop. I couldn't.
Yeah.
And the reason I couldn't is because I was using the stuff to feel better. I wasn't using it to have a good time. I was using it to be confident, to not be afraid, to have a smile on my face, those kind of things, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's mad thinking back. Like, you know, it's mental.
But we'll get on to the good stuff now.
Yeah.
You can tell everyone what drugs you're using for this ridiculous progress that you've made.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind, bit of a whirlwind. Progress has been good. But like, I joined an athletic club down there. I ended up moving back to Dublin. And Shay was the only friend, genuinely the only friend I had when I moved back to Dublin.
That must have been tough.
I didn't know. Yeah, it was actually, probably would have picked someone else back, like. But as I say, I'd burnt so many bridges. Like, no one wanted to spend time with me. Rightfully so, man. Even though I'd kind of changed things now, I was a completely different person. But I back that. You know, you can't just change your life and come back and expect everyone else to think you're the dog's bollocks. Like,
yeah.
So I was pretty lonely, and just kept training. Gave me that purpose. It gave me that drive. Kept going. Left my job and started working in a running shop. Just loved this running space, man. So I was doing Dublin Marathon, and I wanted to break 3 hours in my first marathon. Had notions about it. I think I had sort of ran the standards roughly that I thought I could do it, but everything was going against me. Like, all the long runs were shite. I kept stopping.
Yeah.
I was like, how am I going to do this, man? But I had told, sort of like Shay said there, I kind of started posting on social media again at like a really small level. But I put it out there. I was like, I'm going to run sub 3 hours in Dublin. Like, never ran a marathon before, no experience of running longer than 30k. I was like, oh man, what am I doing? Like, I see people doing it now as well about their first marathon. And I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, I did that last episode. I was like,
keep in the pocket, like.
What are you going to run for Dublin? I was like, I'm going to say sub 3.
It's hard not to. It's hard not to.
I'm not going to say 305, am I? Like,
yeah, you can, yeah. I run 301.
Yeah.
But I had no respect for the distance, like, do you know what I mean? But what it meant a lot to me was I was doing it for PA the House. I didn't get in through the ballot. I got in to represent PA the House, and that is a charity that did save my life, do you know?
Class.
In those dark days. Of like, yeah, suicide was like a real option for me. And the reason it was a real option is because I believed my life was that bad that I couldn't see any other way forward. I was like, I'm out of here, man. And then, you know, PA the House helped me see that no matter how bad things get, you can figure it out. There's always a way.
Exactly.
And yeah, I did Dublin Marathon. I ran 250, and I just kept going.
Kilometre pace?
250 is what, like 402 per kilometre. I tried to run 259, didn't know if I could do it. Got to like 32k. I was like, I can do it. And picked it up. And
so a lot of sub 25k's back to back.
Yeah. I ran a pretty quick last 10k. Realised I didn't leave it all out there, and when Shay ran Barcelona, I went with him. I ran 239 a couple of months later.
Like, that's it.
Which was dog rough.
It's unheard of though, just jumping in like that and just.
Yeah, the progression was, or has been, a little bit unnatural. And then obviously Dublin last year was like, still is the best day of my whole life. Ran 232, and then tried to run 229 in Valencia, ran 231, but we'll be back. We'll
be back. PB.
We'll be back.
Definitely something to be proud of regardless.
Yeah, big
Do you think the rowing has any effect on this sort of, like, there has to be some reason?
There probably is somewhere in there, but like between the rowing and the cycling and like sort of what I'm doing now, like the amount of years of smoking and abusing my body and vaping, I think like if there was any aerobic standard there, it's like it was long gone.
Yeah.
What I do think stands to me, and it's one of the only things I sort of will take testament in from being a drug addict, is there's a bit of grit there, man. I won't give up. I'm not afraid of hurting. Like, and that's like, I'm not I don't gloat to say that about myself. I have been hurt a lot.
That comes on to actually a good question. For Bowie is, how much of the marathon do you think is mental over physical?
It's funny, like people say, the last 10k is a mental game. It is, but there is obviously like neuromuscular stuff going on as well.
Yeah.
Like, it is partially physical, but I think the difficult thing about the marathon is you need to, like Valencia for me, for example, didn't feel good very early on. I'm talking like 2 kilometers. 42k is a long time to convince yourself over and over to keep going when shit feels rough.
Can you just tell people actually say what kilometre pace you're running for these? Because people...
For Valencia, I was running 334 per kilometre. Yeah.
42.
I was trying to run 332 per kilometre. I was on 3:32 per kilometre till about 34k maybe.
Yeah, so that's a slight difference.
That's
We're
my
working with
10k
her.
pace.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between us. That's my 10k pace.
We're working with only though 2 seconds per
2
kilometre
seconds
for a
yeah,
PB,
yeah,
not
for a
PP.
PB
Like
or not, yeah.
that, when you get down to that level, that's kind of the
Yeah, and it's hard. Like that 2 seconds, you feel that 2
Yeah.
seconds. I know that sounds like a bit silly, but you do. But I think the difficult thing, the mental thing, is continuously convincing yourself that you can keep going, and that is quite heightened in the last 10k. I would say that once you've got to 38k, once you're not cramping like mental, it's all mental.
really.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
I think doing your first one, it's definitely majority mental. But when you're actually going for a specific time, it's all well and good having a good mindset. But like if you're not physically in shape, you're
Yeah,
not
you
gonna
got
get
it.
the time.
You
Like
gotta have it
the
there,
mental
yeah.
can only take you so far. But mental is huge.
Massive.
You can't be just physically fit without the mental.
Yeah.
You need a bit of both.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily train it either. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can. I know people that are very fit, like and trained very well, but they don't have that edge, and they like some of these
It's hard
guys
to
stop
replicate.
in races, like
Yeah.
do you know,
Yeah.
because of it, not because of physical things. And it's very difficult to coach someone. I think. Well, maybe it's just because my experience not there is to have that mental grit. I think it's quite hard.
Yeah, no, that was class. It's cool to see people that, like, a lot of good runners, I think people presume they've been running from when they're like 5 or 6 or 7. They just kind of grew up doing it. Whereas, like, obviously, you've only started proper scheduled training the last few years.
Yeah.
You're in college now. Shay works full-time job. Like, balancing all that on top of, like, these times, it shows people that it can be done, and it's just hard work. Like, I think some people think there is just a secret magic that people know about that the other people don't know about.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, they probably just run more and give everything to it. Like,
I
And
don't know about you,
consistency.
but like I think for me as well, Instagram I think makes it look quite
Easy.
so easy and appealing. I
even
think
to
as
me,
well.
like, I'm
Yeah.
always comparing myself to other people, like, just because I'm on Instagram as
Yeah,
such
yeah,
now,
yeah.
and like I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But like that's
Yeah.
just what happens. Like, say if I see someone that I know just from their Instagram that they've only started probably scheduled training after me, I'm like, well, they shouldn't be quicker than me now. So if they just gone on
Comparison,
PB,
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
I have to go run quicker than
Yeah.
that in my next race.
Comparison's the thief of joy.
Thief
isn't
of
it?
all joy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we all do it at the
Yeah.
end of the
It's
day. And
natural.
one of the things about running is like no matter how good you get, there is a guy up the road you're going to be looking at.
Yeah,
Like we were out for dinner last night. I was talking about like I remember when I tried to run sub 3. If you told me I would have ran 2:59:59, I would have taken your head off it
Yeah.
straight away.
yeah,
Hand it to me, no problem. Now if I ran, like I'm going to London Marathon in April, if I ran 2:35, I'd be pretty upset about it. Like, do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
it's
So it's
crazy,
like,
yeah.
You're always kicking the can down the road.
but you need that as well.
yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And like every now and then you do get one big breakthrough race
you do.
that
Yeah.
does shock you, and it just opens up all these new goals in your mind. Like,
Yeah.
like I went into Athenry 10k there.
Athenry was a good day
Stevens
out. Yeah.
and like I would have been delighted if I could hold 3:40 pace. Ended up holding 3:32, 35-minute 10k, and I was over the moon. And then I'm just straight away thinking, right, well,
What's next?
that means my estimated marathon times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
15 minutes.
You're not even enjoying
Yeah.
it. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? That's exactly for me. Like I'm running the half marathon in a couple of weeks there. It's like
Yeah.
I had a good day out in Athenry and found a new breakthrough that I didn't necessarily know I had that sort of top end speed. And it's like, right, well, my half marathon's got to come down like at least 4 minutes because we're just so ingrained to get distracted by numbers.
Yeah,
And I think, sorry, just to go back to that, I think Instagram can make it look pretty appealing and pretty easy. And look, I'm not saying we're top end elite athletes and our lifestyle looks appealing. We're not. Like we're at the end of the day, like we're avid runners, running a decent standard. Do you know what I mean? But it's pretty dog rough, man. A lot of the time, do you know?
Yeah.
It's not like most of it's not
yeah,
that
it's nothing
enjoyable.
pleasant apart from
like
the result.
me and him often
Like
run
the races are
20k.
great. Yeah.
Midweek, it's dark, it's piss and rain, it's windy, and everyone has to deal with that. But like, you don't necessarily want to.
Yeah,
a lot
especially
of the time.
after like you get it, you like. I always relate when you motivate me a lot when I see like your TikToks and stuff because I'm like I know he's after going through the exact same thing that I was going through. Like
Yeah.
you get in 6 o'clock, you're trying to mill dinner in
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
rough.
from
yeah,
work.
yeah,
You've been out since early, like, and you're like, I've an 18k easy run. I think it's worse when it says easy at the end because you're like, I'd love just to go rip 18k and get home.
It's actually almost
Yeah.
easier to go out the door and
you
go
have
faster.
to
Yeah,
just
yeah,
jog
yeah.
and you're trying to just get it done. But
Especially if you're carrying a niggle or something, you're like, don't even know if you'll make it through the run.
Yeah, yeah.
So many factors
yeah.
you can.
Dr. Paranoid.
one thing about you, Shay, though, and I think this is why I've been commenting on your TikToks now for ages, and
Yeah.
I think it's just because you don't give out ever. like on
I try
TikTok.
not to. Yeah.
Very positive.
Yeah,
right?
you're very just like, this is what I've got to do. I'm gonna do it now. And then you're like,
Yeah.
right, just did that. Now this is what's next. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
it's whatever you have to do in the day, and you just go one task at a time, and then until it's all done, then you're like, right, chill now, and then go to bed.
Yeah.
And it's very just like to the point, and that's
I mean, no one wants to listen to someone moan on Instagram. No one's making me do anything I'm doing. So
No, we keep the moaning off Instagram.
Yeah.
So me and him moaning awful lot.
Yeah.
Moaning, like,
once you're out the door, you can moan.
Yeah,
on
you
your own
moan all you
past
want.
the time.
yeah.
But no one wants to hear anyone moaning. Like if I hear people moaning on Instagram, I hold that against them forever. I'm like, I'm not.
you always do posts about that, the weather and stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, if you've been moaning about the weather, I hope
Yeah.
you're out there now.
Better be out there
watching.
soaking up the
Yeah.
rays.
Yeah.
That type of stuff does grind my gears. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
There's actually something I want to get into. I have a book here.
yeah.
I've been waiting for the right guests to talk about this type of stuff, because obviously it's a different type of topic. Shay, I'm not sure how much you care about this or how much you've read
This
into
isn't about you
this sort of
right?
stuff. But I know Will has. Will's secretly a nerd. Well, big time nerd like myself. So obviously,
Yeah, a little bit of a nerd.
I started probably with running with me. I feel like I know as much as anyone about running in terms of like lactate running, like aerobic, like all the different types of training and stuff.
Yeah.
I've read so much about, and I don't mean like I've read like an Instagram post. I mean like,
Well, man, you
I've-
are a biochemist.
Yeah,
though, do
like
you know
I've
what I
looked
mean?
into,
The-
like,
the guy knows the
publications
science.
and stuff.
Yeah.
because that's what I find interesting. Like, and yeah. So obviously I did biochemistry in Trinity. No one's gonna know what I did before the podcast, I suppose. So biochemistry in Trinity. That's when I first found like love for science, and then during that time I went and did an internship in Cambridge and an internship in Oxford, both like in research, science research as well, metabolism, which obviously plays a big part in running. And then I went and started a PhD in obesity and diabetes, and kind of looking at muscle in both of them diseases in UCD, and now I work in obesity and diabetes. So that's
Scientist.
Now you're a podcast host.
Where did I go wrong, lad?
Yeah. So I wanted to recommend this book to anyone that when I first started running, this is what I bought, because I was like, if I can run as efficiently as possible, I'm going to get the most out of myself, which is what I think is very important, especially at even your level and your level, where you're kind of them fine margins. Being
Marginal
efficient
gains,
is massive. So it's called The Lost Art of Running by Shane Benzie. I think Wales has experience with this book
Yeah, it's
as
a good
well.
book.
But there's a few different parts in the book that I find interesting. So in the first half of the book, he kind of talks about his coaching with different athletes. They're all different styles of runners, some mountain runners, some marathon runners. And then he trains a lot of people that do that mad marathon in South Africa. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's like really long and hilly. And then the last part of the book is kind of like done on chapters. So it's like foot, legs, shoulders, all the different parts of your body, and like what you should be trying to replicate with them through running. Now, obviously, everyone's individual and everyone's form is completely different, but there's obviously the same sort of structure that we're all trying to be by to be the most efficient, especially in the headwinds and stuff like that. I suppose it matters a bit more. So one thing he talks about, that's what I just want to talk about, like your running form, and like if you've ever tried look at it, improve it or stuff like that. But one thing he talks about, and it's one thing I always try to think about when I'm running, if you put, say, an elastic band underneath your foot, so you're standing straight up, you hold it, elastic band underneath your foot, and you hold it up to your nose, say, so just up straight in the air in a straight line. You want you running in each stride as if you're trying to push that band outwards.
Okay.
So if you're holding that band up and it's dead straight from your nose to your foot, the only
Yeah.
way you can push it outwards is by like pushing your chest out. You know, sort of way. So kind of getting that elastic shape like that. Now only people on the camera are gonna be able to see that. But what I'm showing is like chest out, and then your legs are kind of falling behind you. He talks a lot about the head at the end of the book. So people don't realise the average head weighs 12 pounds. And if you have your head, say, 1 inch to the left. So I feel like a lot of people do this. When running. I remember when Mia first started running, she used to run a lot with her head to the left. And I don't know, it's just subconsciously she did that. She has scoliosis, so I don't know whether that like played a factor. But for every inch you have your head turned, say, to the left, back, forward, you're adding 12 pounds of body weight, like of extra stress onto your body.
15 if you're a dunderhead like me.
So rather than just keeping it all like neutral, you know, that sort of way. So I thought that was interesting. That's one thing I'm always conscious about. And a big thing he talks about is looking into the horizon. So we touched on that briefly. Like you were talking about looking at people's heels in front of you.
Heels a big one, yeah.
Yeah. Little things like that can make such a difference. He talks a lot about the legs. So whether you're pushing off the ground, which is what we should be trying to do.
Sinking into it.
Yeah, or pulling your foot up, or whether you're like using the ground to propel yourself.
Well, do you want me to give you a hot take?
Yeah, go for it.
I genuinely think your running form is far more important than any strength work. Like, strength training is great and all, but I think if you have good running form, it's going to do so much more for your legs than hammering weights in the gym, because you can have the strongest legs in the world. If you're not running correctly, you're going to get injured and you're going to not be using your legs to the maximum capacity.
Mike dropped.
I agree on this. And actually, I used to train, very loosely train, as in my first proper introduction to running was with UCD. UCD had legs, and Emmett Dunleavy was the coach at the time. Now, obviously, he was the coach, but I was at a very bad standard. But he'd still be the one shouting at you and telling you what to do and stuff. And he was big on drills. And my hot take would be that if you can just get your drills in, so they only take 10 to 15 minutes. And Michael Murphy talks big about drills as well. Before like your 2 sessions, maybe depending on what session you have for the long run. I know that's about 45 minutes. People try to go gym once a week. I'd rather do the drills. The drills are so important, I feel like, for form.
I think it's so variable as well, because if you lay it out on the table, right, the likes of Michael Murphy, Cormac Dalton, Jack O'Leary, all these guys competing at the top standard, or even Dave McGlynn sort of said, like, one of the reasons in his breakthrough marathon performance in Dublin there that what allowed him to do that was strength work.
Yeah, he did a lot
real
of it,
focus on strength work.
Yeah.
So one of the things there straight away is a lot of these lads have to chase marginal gains, like really marginal gains, because, for example, there's not much more aerobic they can get. So they need to look elsewhere. Where can I find that extra edge? If you're looking at the average Joe Soap, right, I'm going to put myself in that boat, even though a lot of people, you're not average, it's at the grand. But like in the grander scheme of things, a training age of what, like 2 or 3 years, there's still huge aerobic gains to be made. Massive aerobic gains to be made before I need to like soak up all of the 1% in order to get better. Obviously they help anyway. There's no doubt about it. You look at all the best coaches in the country, the likes of Phelan Kelly, Emmett Dunleavy, all these lads are putting a huge focus. Like, all their athletes are doing drills. I've never not seen them warm up, do drills, do strength. All of them. That means something. But for the average Joe Soap, as I say, if you are not getting injured, spend the time running. That's my hot take. Do you know what I mean? Spend the extra time running. You can come back and do the strength work where you need to. That's a bad take, but it's how I look at it.
A lot of people, I think, or Shane Bendy, even his argument is, if you're as efficient as possible, you're putting so much less extra stress on like your knees, your joints. So if you're running efficiently, you have a lot less chance of getting injured in the first place. But a lot of them top lads, their running form is top class.
It's immaculate, but they still need to build extra strength.
That's why they're starting.
And protection. The other thing is load. Like if Dave McGlynn, for example, I'm just taking him as a marathoner. If he needs to increase load, well, he may need to increase muscle and tendon strength to adapt that load. Do you know what I mean? You can't just go and hammer the tarmac for 220k a week and not have the strength to absorb it. So there is that. And then the other thing about running form is, okay, if you have the best running form, but there are some things inside of form that you can't just choose to work on. You need to go and build, like, say there's an imbalance. You need to go and fix that in the gym. So there is a time and a place where you must use weights and you must do strength. Back from injury. If you need to rehab something, if there's a problem, or particularly a recurring problem or weakness, obviously. But in general, like, a lot of people tell me, you need to do the calf raises, you need to do that. And I'm like, I get it. But I'm not experiencing any problems. There's a clear path forward. When I do experience a little bit of a setback or a problem, shift the focus. Do you know what I mean? I think that you can look at it like that.
I know, I will know when I'm talking about when I was starting, and I'm still starting, but like, obviously these lads, they're elites, they know what they're doing. They have the best of advice.
Big time.
But
I'm not going to give them advice.
No, definitely not.
I'm more so talking about people that are trying to just start getting out, and they might be finding things a bit difficult. Then they might show you a video, like, say they're running whatever time for the 5K, but I mean nowhere near like an elite time. And they may be running, but they're swinging their arms like this. You know what I mean? Energy. And they're just working against themselves rather than trying to help themselves. And obviously they wouldn't be aware of like how much.
Lots of people aren't aware. They don't actually physiologically move their body correctly. You see it all the time, and it's natural, like, you know.
I just thought that was.
And I think for people at that stage, what's going to benefit them the most is doing what they enjoy and finding a true passion for running.
Fact.
And I think it can be quite off-putting hearing all this advice that you need to go gym sessions every week, strengthening these sort of muscles that they're probably not even using properly because they haven't found their correct running form.
Yeah.
I think if they spend time running, focus on their form, even watching lads on YouTube, even Will puts up videos of him running in slow motion. Like I take great inspiration from that. Where, how his foot's hitting the ground, how he's bouncing off it, what muscles are tightening up. I think that's going to be much more beneficial than, especially a lot of people at that level, they might go to the gym, do strength work, they might not even be targeting the right muscles at all and giving themselves literally no benefits, just DOMs and sore legs.
I think naturally you get a bit better as well. Like the more you run, you're gonna get better. Like when I started running, I've seen photos like doctor overstride, heel stride, the whole lot, man. I was doing like hips collapsing, everything just all over the gaff, like energy being wasted left, right, and center. Naturally, like now these days, by no means am I anywhere near perfect running form, like not even close to it. But like naturally, my foot lands under my hip a little bit better. I land on my forefoot most of the time, and I stay on my forefoot most of the time. Yeah, and there's good power going through. Do you know what I mean? And that's like I haven't spent a huge degree of time like thinking about that. It's just progressed in that direction. Do you know?
He talks a lot about that heel striking in the book. He works with I can't remember her name now, but she's a great UK mountain runner. And always down the mountain, she'd always heel strike. Obviously, just out in there, like trying to slow down a little bit, like put the brakes on. And they worked a lot mentally to try to get it to forefront strike. Yeah. And I think her improvements were like.
It's quite funny.
Ridiculous.
It's quite an unnatural feeling though when you are going down a steep hill and you're landing on your forefoot. You're like, this feels so strange.
Yeah,
like,
you're just absolutely flying. But no, that was class. I feel like people take like bits from that. And then I suppose again for people that are trying to just start out, you guys obviously. You don't have like tens of years of experience, but your progress has been crazy. And people are going to look at it and think it's supernatural or I can't do that, but it's more about the work and the discipline. Yeah. Would you have any advice to people that are trying to just get going where it's like trying to break 30 in the 5K? Like this is the sort of type of people I'm talking about. Yeah. Like
find a mate who's on a similar trajectory. Fact. Wants to do a similar thing. Even if they want to break 40 minutes into the 10K and you want to break 50 in the 10K, you'll still be able to have similar conversations.
The easy runs.
Yeah. Yeah. Do some easy runs, and I think the most important thing is make sure you have yourself a routine that you're enjoying and you're not looking at the start of each week and like, oh, I'm dreading this. Yeah. Find something that works for you. And like I enjoy all my running. I don't see it as a chore.
Yeah, neither do I.
I don't get me wrong, there's some days where you don't want to go out the door, but the grand scheme of things, 80% of my runs, I'm looking forward to it. And I think that's why I've progressed so well. And I think the same with Will, like if you're enjoying it, you're going to progress so much quicker without even trying to. And you'll give yourself 3 months will pass, you'll target a new race, and all of a sudden, without even doing any specific work or feel like you're working that hard, just consistency will stack and you'll just absolutely smash your PBs. Like when you first start running, it's so addicting because you could go out and literally set a PB every weekend.
Yeah, you're dropping time left, right, and centre.
You're getting that PB thing on Strava all the time, whether it's a mile PB or a 10K PB, and enjoy the start of running because they're the golden days, really. Find a good group, a good core group, even if it's one person to train with. Even if they're in a different country, it's your mate, you're just texting about your running. Like a guy Will coaches at the moment, Connor, he's one of my best mates. He's over in Edinburgh. He's very similar pace to me, and we're texting each other every weekend, discussing our long runs and all. I haven't seen him. I've seen him once over Christmas, but I haven't seen him in a few months. But I talk to him about running more than anyone else. So they don't have to be your next door neighbour or whatever, but just someone to talk to and speak to about and pick things up from them, I suppose.
Yeah, I feel like there's a misconception now on social media because everyone seems to be running and everyone seems to be so happy about running and this and that. That people expect when they get out that door to run for the first time, that there's just going to be rainbows and
it's shy crack, man.
Yeah, like it is shy for most of it.
For a little bit at the start as well.
You do feel shit majority of the time, but it's getting like comfortable in the uncomfortableness, like enjoying that it feels shit.
Yeah, I think particularly in the early days, though. Yeah, like when I was going out the door as I won't call myself a fat lad, like, but I wasn't by no means in nick. My lungs were in bits from smoking. Like that wasn't very much fun. You know, I was spluttering around the place. Yeah, I looked a bit silly doing it, but I kept going. And I think that one thing, like particularly in running, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you will not do it anymore because a lot of it revolves around doing things that you don't enjoy. Like
but it's just about picking things to enjoy as well. I think like you might not enjoy the actual like 20k into a long run or whatever, but you enjoy that you're getting healthier, you're progressing. You know, exactly, that's all right. But it doesn't feel like that in the moment.
To your goals. The big thing that's addicting with running is progress.
Yeah.
Once you start to see trackable progress, you'll feel a bit better about yourself. You'll feel a bit more excited about something down the line. Everyone is chasing a number. We get too fixated on numbers. I talk about this a little bit on social media. It's not necessarily the number for me. It is like, that's the trackable thing. I can look at the number and say that's what I want to do. But really, it gave me a reason to go out to the house every day. Do you know what I mean? If I'm trying to run 2:29 in London, whatever, that could happen. It could not happen. But in the pursuit of that, I had a reason to get up, get out, and spend time with people every single day for quite a long period.
Yeah.
That's valuable, you know?
Gives you a real purpose.
Yeah, big time. Big time. Whatever the ability, man.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to jump into the big clip. So, me and the two lads are racing Boyle half marathon.
Oh, here we go.
In 2 weeks.
Here we go.
8th of March.
Yeah, 8th of March. I can take us off.
Yeah.
So, obviously, Will's my
Okay.
Will's my coach, for anyone that doesn't know. We've been working towards this race now for a little bit. And I think from the start, we kind of both knew we were going to try go under 130, which like my current PB is like, I actually haven't properly raced half marathon, but 140 I'd say is like a fair place to put the current PB. So we'd be going for 130, I think we kind of had in our minds at the start. So I'd only be lying to everyone now if I said that's not what we're going to go try do on March 8th. We've done the work. Nothing's really went horrendously wrong. We had a little hamstring thing for like a couple of days and then it passed by.
Morgan decided to chase Colin Rooney with a camera and pulled his hamstring.
Don't chase John Stafford and Colin Rooney. So yeah, we're going to Bournemouth. We're going to run 128 and we're going to progress on then for WC.
Cool,
so the plan is stick on the pacer for 10 miles, the 130 pacer that is, and then hopefully have still something in the legs to kick on then. And then these lads will be back in the car probably in Dublin by the time I finish. But
Less of that. You've gone well. You're going to go well.
We're going.
130 is huge as well. When you break 130, that's when you enter the big leagues to a certain extent.
Yeah, so we'll go down.
You never won't break it again. Sorry, just finish on that as well. First time you go under 90, that's the last time you go over 90. You'll be in the round then, you know.
I think Will might have the fastest prediction here, so we'll go with Shay next.
So my current PB is 123 in September.
Sorry, for you guys, can you just put a kilometre pace in?
Yeah.
So mine be around 410 for 130 and then hopefully boil it down just for the people that don't know the paces.
So PB, Phoenix Park, Dublin Half Marathon, September, building up the Dublin Marathon. I did 123, which was 357 per K. And then now 6 months later, I'm going to have a crack at 117, which is 340 per K.
Massive PB.
Which would be a 6-minute PB, yeah. So that's the goal. There's a good few.
There's a few going for 116 there, though. I think
you and Maeve Brannigan might have a little bit of a fight there at some point.
The Tuesday night crew will be battling it out.
So are you going to just try build your way through the race? Or
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few of us. Maeve, Marcus, Neil will all be going out the same pace. And we'll be competitive, like even Connor as well. Connor Grant.
That'll only take the best out of you, though.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Yeah.
I'm more looking forward to seeing what happens there in that little trio. Then,
man, that's more of a dice than the podium.
Yeah,
there's investment in that fight.
There could be people tripping people up there.
Yeah, the 117 pack is heating up like.
Right, so we've gone for 117, 340 pace, as Shay said. Now, what's this fella going for?
Look, I've made good. The last time I ran a half was over 6 months ago. Around 1:14:10 in Antrim.
He's talking about a race. The fella runs over 21 kilometres about 5 times a week.
The last time I raced a half, I ran 1:14:10 in Antrim, which was 330 flat per K. I have made good breakthroughs since then. That's like 6 months ago. I have 2 marathon PBs and a 10K PB since. So I am going to go out on 71 pace, about 323, 324 per kilometre. And look, I'll be happy to just go a little bit faster than ever before. That's always the goal. The ambition is to try and duck the head under 72 and run 71. But once I know I've gotten a little bit better at running, I'll take that. But yeah, we'll go out at 71 and see what happens.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm not worried about the time at all, to be honest with you.
No.
Genuinely. I know everyone says that. They're not bothered about the time, but like, I haven't even thought about it at all. I'm just focusing on getting better. Yeah. Whatever happens on the day, I always find the more pressure you put on yourself for a time,
it's always worse.
it can just backfire, and then you could end up running a big. Like I could end up running a 5-minute PB now, 1:18, and being somewhat disappointed.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I goal.
Yeah.
So I try to avoid that. Obviously, you have to put numbers out there just so people have a bit of interest and have sort of a ballpark idea of where you're at. So I was saying 1:17, but like I've never even broke 80 minutes for the half marathon, obviously, which is a huge achievement in itself. So
Yeah.
if I got that, I'd still be over the moon, to be honest. Once I know I left it all out there.
Right. We have a few questions that people ask in, and then
do
a
your
few
worst. Do your absolute worst.
No, we'll start off with a few that I ask everyone that I make up myself. So Will, you answer first, then Shay, you follow up. So most of these I already know the answer to, but we'll just go through it for the audience. So chorus or Garmin?
Chorus. Big time.
Chorus.
Yeah.
Miles or kilometers?
Kilometers.
Would you rather do a full marathon block, get injured the day before the race, or just say next week jump into a marathon? So you didn't get to actually prep towards
touch
it.
the wood here, man.
Next week.
I'm in decent nick. I think I'd jump into a marathon next week.
Yeah, jump in. Avoid injury like the plague. I'm never getting injured.
Fuck that.
Matt Collins sent in a question. He said, "What do you think about when you're running?"
Often I think about Matt Collins when I'm running.
See, you run a nice group, so that's good. Like
not always,
but
I do often have company.
it helps.
What do I think about? Most of the time, like when are we done? Genuinely, a lot of the time, like in the long run, if I'm hurting, when are we done?
Yeah. When I was out running this morning by myself, a lot of the time thinking about social media, to be honest, like what content ideas. Obviously today I was thinking about the podcast, things I want to say. Just like constructive things I can add to my life.
He was going through a CV this morning on that run.
Yeah. You get into that flow state though. And I never have my phone with me, and I'm always thinking of these things that I haven't thought of in years. Or like I'll get a certain flashback or something. I definitely have a racing mind when I'm by myself. And I'm like, yeah, that's a deadly idea. And I just think of like 3 TikTok ideas when all week I couldn't think of anything.
Man, running puts such a huge like clarity on your thought process.
Yeah.
Like my head would be an absolute mess all day. I can't figure things out just because like too much caffeine, not enough sleep. I go out running and I'm like literally sequentially organising my entire life on a 20k easy run. It's like, oh, where'd that come from?
If I had that mindset that I get when I'm out running 24/7, I'd be the richest man on the planet. Say that much. I'd be the happiest, richest, most successful man on the planet.
Would you rather not be able to listen to music again, or not be able to track your run? So no Strava. You can use your watch during the run and like know what pace you're at.
Not be able to listen to music while running, or not be able to listen to music in general?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't bother tracking the runs.
Because I heard you ask Michael Murphy this. I assume I can still do races and get an official time.
Yeah, like the chip time. Yeah.
Then I'll take that, listen to music and just do my races.
Need a few tunes, man.
Yeah.
Ditch the chorus.
One of the lads asked on my post, now I'm not sure how applicable it is to use, but he might be able to offer some sort of insight. He said he plays football and he's wondering what's the best way to get fit while juggling the sport at the same time.
I think it's like the biggest thing with most people is how many easy miles can you get in. Like, obviously I'm not saying go out and run 100k easy a week, like, but if you can start running, like he's going to be doing drills and training with sprints and this kind of stuff. He's probably doing fast twitch stuff, pivotal movements, that kind of thing. So he probably doesn't need to go out and rake a load of intervals. I'd say the most valuable thing there for general fitness is like zone 2 running.
Easy running.
Yeah, easy running. So like if you can get those zone 2 runs in at a point where one, they're not butchering you because you will pick up a bit of fatigue easy running at the start. Like your legs are going to be heavy. There isn't very much easy running at the start. But if you get into the habit of jogging easy, I think you'll carry that sort of fitness into football, particularly for an engine, I would say. Like not a lot of football players have a good 10k, for example, but would be Kyle Walker's going to gun you up the pitch. Do you know what I mean? Like so, you'd find that sweet spot then with a bigger engine.
Yeah. You agree, Shay?
During the season, definitely just stick to the zone 2.
Yeah.
Then when you're off season, you can hammer some intervals, some long runs.
Favorite race?
Dublin Marathon every year, all year.
Dublin Marathon, yeah.
Right. Did you have anything last to say? Obviously, 2 lads are on Instagram and TikTok. Shay posts every single day. He's probably the only person that gets a video up every day. And Shay, actually talk about Milan there because that's what your series is about. So finish off on that.
So series I'm doing at the moment is called Ran to Milan, ripping off Ran to Japan. But it's just like it's nothing special. Just me documenting my day each day.
Marathon.
Me documenting my marathon block. Yeah.
Like
there's other bits of my life in it as well, I suppose. It's literally just me talking shy to the camera. There's a lot
of value in there.
It's raw.
A lot of value in there.
It's very raw. I don't wake up with a plan because people always ask me like, is it not stressful trying to think of what video to do for the day? I'm like, to be honest, you don't think of it. Literally, when I go on my run that day, I get some sort of idea in my head and just talk to the camera after. Like, I'm not doing anything fancy. It's literally just me documenting my day-to-day life and trying to stay positive. And like, I've had so many messages from people telling me it's inspiring them. So once you start getting messages like that, it's hard to give up.
Yeah, no, it's class. I really enjoy it.
Bigger than me, I suppose.
Well, going to London.
Yeah, London Marathon. I am going to altitude in a couple of weeks, so I'm going to document.
Talk about that. Go on quickly.
Yeah, I started working with ASICS recently. Started working with ASICS, hence I'm head to toe in ASICS at the moment. But yeah, now big opportunity. So I'm going up to ASICS, have a high performance facility in Fontramau in the Pyrenees, the French Pyrenees. So I'm going up there for a couple of weeks, try and get a little bit faster over the marathon. If we don't, the world will not end. But in April, I'm going to have a crack at breaking 2:30 in the marathon. Hopefully 2:29 in the marathon.
You are going to break 2:30 in the marathon.
We'll give it a go anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks everyone for listening. Like, comment, subscribe.
Can I say one more thing?
Of course you can. Go.
Thank you so much for having us, Morgan. I really, really respect what you're doing. You're putting your neck out there, following a passion, chasing a dream.
Giving it socks as well, to be fair.
Yeah, giving it socks, going all in, videography, podcasting. You're putting your balls in the line, so well done to you. Keep it up. Hopefully it all works out well for you. Here to support you in any way possible. And
Great guy.
Extremely.
Great guy.
Two legends.
I would have never dreamed of being on a podcast. So
I'll be in London with Will, putting something together. So if anyone else from London, hit me up and we can work together. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and see you next week.